What is something that surprised you about Helen that you learnt while filming?
I tell you what, Helen answers emails faster than anyone else, which is really surprising. When you think, like, half the time you're emailing and she's on a plane, she's in the middle of the ocean. Helen replies to her emails. And that's amazing, because I certainly don't. And I have found that people who are high-powered people often do.
Being such busy people, how did you sync your diaries to shoot?
My busy was only to do with Helen. So I was stalking Helen. It was more to do with getting access, because the access to Helen wasn't to do with Helen, it was to do with who she was with and whether they would allow a camera in the room. It just was a year-long negotiation. That was hard, that one.
On your journey, you met a lot of influential people. Who was the most impressive?
Aside from Helen, who is impressive, I didn't meet anyone the whole year who wasn't impressive, and that was quite amazing to me, because, you know, you hear that people have just taken a soft option, they work at the UN and it's all sludgy and it's dysfunctional, etc., and all those things may well be true. I didn't find any cynicism. I just found a whole lot of really clever, hard-working people, a lot of whom were, you know, continually frustrated with the institution. But I mean, in the end, it's easy to put down the UN, but it's all we've got. There isn't another one. That is the global organisation. It's an outrageous idea, any way you look at it, that humankind, with all their differences and culture and everything, could actually have a place where they go for talking, to kōrero. And I only ever met people who believed in that. So that in itself is really impressive, isn't it?
Do you think this film would have portrayed the same themes if it had been made by a man?
If he was a feminist, yes. Why it's called My Year With Helen is because it is my personal take. Another woman might have done it differently. I don't know. What I saw as one of the major problems in the world, really, which is that women are underutilised.
Gaylene, what's your survival diet for a long day filming?
Well, you can't buy it at the UN CAF, I can tell you that. The food at the UN CAF isn't really food. It's kind of, looks like food, kind of doesn't really taste like food, but that's true of most of that part of New York. Always hard to find good food. So we would go to a Turkish restaurant we found that was perfect, that was a few blocks from the UN, called Ali Baba. So that became our sort of staff room, really. I found a really good organic deli and we would bring food in. One despairs at what the UN serves. It's a gathering of world cultures. You'd think that, you know, there'd be a week there where all our best chefs from New Zealand would come and feed everybody. You know, and next week it would be Malaysia, and, you know, you think of the wonderful world food. Not at the UN.
Madam Clark, you are virtually a household name within the UN system. You could even be described as the establishment candidate.
I have never been an establishment candidate for anything.
One of the most successful New Zealanders ever produced.
Third highest ranking official at the UN.
We need to try to build a peaceful and inclusive society.
Every night we talk, no matter where she is in the world.
So by the time I leave to go back to New York, I will have the equivalent of about 90 meals for Dad.
I've been into change all my life.
Ms. Clark actually tweeted out my research.
I did.
Did anyone ever say to me, Helen, please come forward? No one will put a red carpet out for any of us. You got to knock those doors down.
She was talking to us, not above us.
That was a very good speech. What can we do to make you Secretary General?
There have been 8 men over these last 70 years, and there's never been a woman.
The UN has got a serious gender problem.
It's not geared at selecting the best person for the job. It's about all sorts of other things.
This is going to be more interesting than the Olympics.
It is more interesting than the Olympics.
A noble competition for the most difficult job of the world.
Do you consider yourself a feminist?
Yes. Answer is yes.
I have never said vote for me because I'm a woman. Vote for me because you think I'm the best candidate.
It's up to every woman of influence to encourage women to believe in themselves.
I think it's worth tweeting, that one.